Learners, my name is Elyssa Brusas, and for today I'm going to discuss about the skeletal system. So first, let me just share some fun facts about the skeletal system. So did you know that babies have 300 bones? And also, did you know that our shorter bones are located in our ears, while our longest bones are located in our legs? So for further discussion, the skeletal system includes all the bones in our body, plus the joints where they attach to each other. Our skeleton protects our internal organs, provides framework or scaffolding that allows us to stand upright and move, stores minerals that our body needs to function properly, and produces blood cells. Our muscles pull in this way on or that way on our bones movement, and without the protection of our skeleton, even a simple bump on our head or chest could injure the vital internal organs. Pound for pound, the bones of the skeletal system are stronger than steel. The skeletal system is made up of 206 bones, which comes in 4 basic shapes. And those are the long bones, such as a femur, short bones like the wrist and ankle bones, flat bones such as those in the skull or scapula, and lastly the irregular bones like the vertebrae. And there are also 2 types of bone tissue. And the first one is the compact bone, which is dense and smooth and very strong, and the cancellous bone, which is spongy and lightweight. Both types of bone tissue contain living cells which help make repairs if a bone is injured or broken. A typical long bone has a main shaft called the diaphysis, composed of the compact bone and 2 ends. Epiphysis is composed of cancellous bone. The main shaft is covered with a membrane of living cells called periosteum, to which muscles and tendons attach themselves. Inside the main shaft is a cavity called the medullary cavity, which contains bone marrow. Bone marrow stores fat, produces blood cells, and plays an important part in the body's immune system. The skeletal system is divided into 2 divisions. The axial skeleton, which consists of the bone that form the longitudinal axis in the body, and the appendicular skeleton, which consists of the bones that are appended to the axial skeleton. The axial skeleton includes 80 bones comprising the skull, vertebral, column, and thorax. The appendicular skeleton consists of the bones of the shoulders, upper extremities, hips, and lower extremities. The bones of the upper extremities or arms are connected to the axial skeleton via the shoulder girdle. This consists of the scapula or shoulder blade and the clavicle or collarbone. The arm itself is composed of the humerus or upper arm and the radius and ulna of the forearm, plus the wrist and hand, which consists of 27 separate bones. Because of this large number of small bones, our hands are capable of more movement than any part of our body. The bones of the lower extremities or legs are connected to the axial skeleton via the pelvic girdle. The longest, heaviest, and strongest bone in the body is the femur, commonly called the thigh bone. At one end, it is connected to the pelvis, and at the other end, to the lower leg, which is made up of tibia or shin bone and fibula. The tibia bears all our body's weight, while the fibula bears no weight at all. The patella or kneecap is a large bone between the femur and fibula. It protects the knee joint and tendons that form the knee. The bones of the ankle and the foot must carry all of our body weight as we stand, walk, or run. The 26 bone and 33 joints that make up our ankle and foot enable you to do just the entire skeletal system of an average adult who weighs less than 10 kilograms. If you're tempted to replace this with a steel skeleton that was just as strong, it will weigh 400 kilograms and still will not have the resilience of bone or the ability to repair itself, harder than reinforced concrete, lighter than the stainless steel, and able to repair itself. Bone is the near-perfect material to provide a framework for the human body. Our bones serve as our protector, as the skull protects our brain and the ribs protects our heart. So what can we do to take care of our skeletal system also?
Here are the tips. Tip number 1. Jogging. Tip number 2. Jumping. Tip number 3. Daily exercise. Tip number 4. Play outdoor games. Tip number 5. You need to dance. So let us now proceed to the parts of our skeletal system, which are the skull, spinal cord, humerus, ribs, and femur bones. Other bones that we have are jawbone, vertebrae, clavicle, shoulder blade, ulna, radius, sternum, pelvis, kneecap, tibia, and fibula. My partner will give you other tips to make your bones healthy. Tip number 6. Drink milk. Milk and dairy products are concentrated calcium sources, and we know that calcium fortifies bones and prevents osteoporosis. Tip number 7. It is always important to wear head protective gears like helmet, because helmets create an additional layer for the head and thus protect the wearer for some of the more severe forms of traumatic brain injury. A helmet aims to reduce the risk of a serious head and brain injuries by reducing the impact of a force or collision to the head. So always wear a helmet. My partner is also capable of exercising, dancing, and jumping, because we know for a fact that it can help our bones healthy and strong. So what are you waiting for? Follow those 7 tips now, because if you don't, it can make your bones weaker. That can make you tired and unproductive for the day. Be mindful also to your surroundings and protect yourself.
What are the four types of bones?
Okay, Ron, can you give us the answer?
The four types of bones are long bones, short bones, flat bones, and irregular bones.
Correct.
Welcome back, students. So, for my question, what are the purposes of the skeletal system? So, who can answer this question? Yes, Mr. Largo?
It protects our organs and also allow us to move.
Yup, that's correct. Our class ended. Thank you for attending, students. See you on the next day. Bye. Class dismissed.
First aid for the microskeletal injuries. First, the R in the rise method. You need to rest the injured foot by making the person sit on a chair or any bench. This is to prevent any more damages to occur on the injured part. Next is the ice. Get any cloth or towel and put ice in it. And compress it to the injured part. Then, get a towel and make a triangular bandage. This is how you make a triangular bandage. Place the middle part of the bandage in between the balls and the heels of the feet. Make sure that the two ends of the bandage are the same length. Pull the two ends around the ankle and don't forget to tuck the end of the bandage under the other and pull back in front. Pull the ends back in front as crisscross, both ends to form an X. Take one end of the bandage and tuck it under one of the sides in between the ankle and the bandage. Do this also on the other side. Don't forget to tuck in any loose ends to prevent accidents. And that is how you aid the ankle sprain.
So I hope you learned something from this lesson, which is the skeletal system. We can now proceed to the next topic, which is the nervous system. The great and mighty nervous system, or the brain as some of us call it. What makes the nervous system unique is that within it lies the ability of human to know oneself. So to begin, let us look to the primary function of the nervous system. The basic purpose is to coordinate all the activities of the body. It enables the body to respond and adapt to changes, both inside and outside of the body. Now, the nervous system is actually split into two parts. The first one is the nervous system, and the second one is the peripheral system. We will explore the peripheral later, but first, let us look at the central nervous system. The central nervous system is made up of two major structures, the brain and the spinal cord. As most people know, the brain is found within the cranium or skull, and there are 6 main sections among other structures within it. These 6 sections are the cerebrum, cerebellum, the encephalon, midbrain, pons, and the medulla oblongata. The first section is the cerebrum. This is the largest section, and it is divided into 2 major hemispheres, which are the right and left hemisphere. And the cerebrum is further divided into 4 lobes. These 4 lobes are the frontal, the parietal, the temporal, and the occipital. The frontal lobe is primarily responsible for reasoning and thought. The parietal is primarily responsible for integrating sensory information. The temporal is primarily responsible for processing auditory information from the ears. And lastly, the occipital is primarily responsible for processing visual information from the eyes. The second section of the brain is the cerebellum. This is the section located in the back of the head below the cerebrum and above the first cervical of the neck. It is responsible for muscle coordination, balance, posture, and muscle tone. The diencephalon section is found between the cerebrum and the midbrain. It contains two structures, the thalamus and the hypothalamus. The thalamus behaves much like a relay station and directs sensory impulses to the cerebrum. And the hypothalamus controls and regulates autonomous nervous functions such as temperature, appetite, water balance, sleep, and blood vessel constrictions and dilations. It also plays a role in the emotions such as anger, fear, pleasure, pain, and affection. The midbrain section is located below the cerebrum at the top of the brainstem. It is responsible for certain eye and auditory reflexes. The pons is located below the midbrain and the brainstem. It is responsible for certain reflex actions such as chewing, tasting, and saliva production. And the last section is the medulla oblongata. It's the lowest part of the brainstem and it connects with the spinal cord and it is responsible for regulating heart and blood vessels function, digestions, respirations, swallowing, coughing, sneezing, and blood pressure. It is also as the center of the respiration. So now that we have covered the brain, let's take a look at the other half of the central nervous system, which is the spinal cord. The spinal cord is linked between the brain and the nerves in the rest of the body. The spinal cord is divided into 4 different regions: the cervical, thoracic, lumbar, and the afferent spinal nerves, which merge to form the peripheral nerves. The afferent spinal nerves are responsible for carrying information from the body to the brain. And the efferent spinal nerves are responsible for carrying information from the brain to the body. Now, within this elaborate system of nerves, neurons, and dendrites, there is a system that regulates the functions of the central nervous system which lie outside its major components such as the brain and the spinal cord. This system is known as the peripheral nervous system, and it is subdivided into 2 smaller systems, which are the somatic system and the autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system is responsible for carrying the motor sensory information both to and from the central nervous system. This system is made up of nerves that connect to the skin sensory organs and all skeletal muscles. The somatic system is also responsible for the nearly all voluntary muscle movement as well as for the processing sensory information that arrives via external stimuli including hearing, touch, and sight. The structures that allow this communication to happen between the nerves throughout the body in the central nervous system are known as the afferent sensory neurons and the efferent motor neurons. Afferent simply means conducting inward and efferent means conducting outward. So just like in the spinal nerves, the afferent neurons take information from the nerve to the central nervous system. And the efferent neurons take information from the central nervous system to the muscle fiber throughout the body. The autonomic nervous system is further divided into sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is vital to our survival. Have you ever heard of the fight or flight response to danger? The sympathetic nervous system revs up the body when confronted with imminent danger to either defend yourself or to escape the threat. The parasympathetic nervous system is the counterbalance to the sympathetic response to danger, whether real or imagined. Once the threat is gone, the parasympathetic brings all the systems of the body back to normal.
Trivia for nervous system. The body has billions of nerve cells. Every person's body contains billions of nerve cells. There are about 100 billion in the brain and 13.5 million in the spinal cord. The body neurons take up and send out electric and chemical signals to other neurons. All living organisms are able to detect changes within themselves and in their environment.
Top 10 foods to make your nervous system healthy. Top number 1, the spinach. It is loaded with antioxidants and vitamin B1. Number 2, broccoli. It is rich in vitamin K, which is known to improve brain and power cognitive skills. Number 3 is almonds. It has a high levels of brain-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Number 4 is pumpkin seed, which contains magnesium that is essential for memory. Number 5 is garlic, which can help prevent aging of the brain. Number 6 is bananas, which is rich in potassium, which is important for the health of your nervous system. Number 7 is whole grains, which contains vitamin B6 and magnesium. Number 8 is avocados, which is rich in both vitamin K and folate. Number 9 is olive oil. It is filled with polyphenol, which enhances neural health and cognitive functioning of the brain. Lastly is the dark chocolate. It is full of flavonols.
The nervous system plays a role in nearly every aspect of our health and well-being. It guides everyday activities such as waking up, automatic activities such as breathing, and complex processing such as thinking, reading, remembering, and feeling emotions. Everything that our body does is connected to our nervous system. For example, when we are moving, the cells in the back part of the spinal cord receive sensory information from the body, and then pass it on to neurons in the front part of our spinal cord. And then, it generates coordinated activity. Fibers called nerves carry important messages back and forth between our body and our brain. The messages traveling in your nerves are sent through billions of nerve cells called neurons. The neurons are linked to one another through chemicals called neurotransmitters. It moves across the spaces between the cells called the synapses. This process continues until the message gets to the right place. This is also how messages get from your body back to your brain and spinal cord.
point, I know that you have a basic knowledge about the nervous system. But let's do a quick recap. The basic purpose of the nervous system is to coordinate all the activities of the body. It enables the body to respond and adapt to changes that occur both inside and outside of the body. The two major parts of the nervous system is the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system is also divided into two major structures, the brain and the spinal cord. The brain is found within the skull or cranium, and it is made up of 6 main sections. These 6 sections are the cerebrum, cerebellum, the encephalon, the midbrain, pons, and the medulla oblongata. The other half of the central nervous system is the spinal cord, and the spinal cord is the link between the brain and the nerves and the rest of your body. The spinal cord is divided into 4 different regions: the cervical, thoracic, lumbar, and the afferent and efferent spinal nerves, which merge to form the peripheral nerves. Now that we know the brain and spinal cord primarily make up the central nervous system, let's look at the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system is essentially the nervous system outside the brain and the spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system is then subdivided into 2 systems called the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system.
What are the two types of nervous system? Elyssa, Kaye, Brusas.
The two major parts of the nervous system is the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system.
Okay, correct.
What are the six basic structure of nervous system? Elyssa, Kaye, Brusas.
The six sections are the cerebrum, cerebellum, the encephalon, the midbrain, pons, and the medulla oblongata.
Okay, correct.
I hope you learned something from this lesson, and you can now proceed to our last lesson or our last topic, which is the muscular system.
Hi learners, I'm Cristalyn Arellano, and for today's topic, we are going to talk about the muscular system. Trivia: our body contains 640 muscles. Our face have 60 muscles, and the hardest working muscles in our body is our heart.
So did you know that muscles make up approximately 40% in our total weight? And also, did you know that the heart is the hardest working muscle inside our body? And lastly, did you know that the ear contains the smallest muscles in the body alongside the smallest bones? So to start the discussion, each time you take a step, 200 muscles work in unison to lift up your foot, propel it forward, and set it down. It's just one of the many thousands of tasks performed by the muscular system. This network of over 650 muscles covers the body, and it is the main reason on why we can blink, smile, run, jump, and stand upright. It's even responsible for the heart's dependable tongue. First, what exactly is the muscular system? Muscular system is made up of three main types. The first one is the skeletal muscle, which attaches via tendons to our bones. The second one is the cardiac muscle, which is only found in the heart. And the last one is the smooth muscle, which lines the blood vessels and certain organs like the intestine and uterus. All three types are made up of muscles, also known as fibers, bundled tightly together. These bundles receive signals from the nervous system that contract the fibers, which in turn generates force and motion. This produces almost all the movements we make. Some of the only parts of the body whose motions aren't governed by the muscular systems are sperm cell, the hair-like cilia in our airways, and certain white blood cells. Muscle contraction can be split into three main types. The first two, shortening muscle fibers and lengthening them, generate opposing forces. So, the biceps will shorten while the triceps will lengthen or relax, pulling up the arm and making it bend at the elbow. This allows you to say, "Pick up my laptop," or if the muscular relationship is reversed, we can say, "Put my laptop down." This complementary partnership exists throughout the muscular system. The third type of contraction creates a stabilizing force. In these cases, the muscle fibers don't change in length, but instead keep the muscles rigid. This allows us to grip a mug of coffee or lean against a wall. It also maintains our posture by holding us upright. Skeletal system forms the bulk of the muscular system, make up about 30 to 40% of the body's weight and generates most of its motion. Some muscles are familiar to us, like the pectorals and the biceps. Others may be less so, like the vaccinator, a muscle that attaches your cheek to your teeth, or the body's tiniest skeletal muscle, a 1 mm long tissue fragment called the stapedius that nestle deep inside the ear. Wherever they occur, skeletal muscles are connected to the somatic nervous system, which gives us almost complete control over their movements. This muscle group also contains two types of muscle fibers to refine our motions even further, the slow twitch and the fast twitch. Fast twitch fibers react instantly when triggered but quickly use up their energy and tire out. Slow twitch fibers, on the other hand, are endurance cells. They react and use energy slowly so they can work for a longer periods. We can relate the fast twitch fibers to the rabbit and the slow twitch fibers to the turtle. Furthermore, a sprinter will accumulate more fast twitch muscles in her legs through the continuous practice, enabling her to quickly, if briefly, pick up the pace. Whereas, back muscles contain more slow twitch muscles to maintain your posture all day. Unlike the skeletal muscles, the body's cardiac and smooth muscles are managed by the autonomic nervous system beyond our direct control. That makes your health thump roughly 3 billion times over the course of your life, which supplies the body with blood and oxygen. Autonomic control also contracts and relaxes smooth muscle in a rhythmic cycle that pumps blood through the smooth internal walls of blood vessels, enables the intestine to constrict and push food through the digestive system, and allows the uterus to contract when a person is giving birth. As muscles work, they also use energy and produce an important byproduct, which is heat. In fact, muscle provides 85% of your warmth, which the heart and blood vessels then spread evenly across the body via the blood. The muscular system may be invisible for us, but it leaves its mark on almost everything we do, whether it's the blink of an eye, like this, or the race to the finish line.
Muscular system is a complex collection of tissues, each with different purposes. Specialized tissue that enable the body and its parts to move. Muscles are responsible for all the types of body movement. They contract or shorten in the muscles of the body. Muscles also rely on contractile fibers to create motion. Understanding the components of the muscular system, including the various types of connective tissues, is a good way to understand how bodies and physical movement work. Muscular system function. We have body movement, the locomotion. Locomotion is the result of muscles pulling on the skeletal system, which is why we often study this system together. Another function, we have maintenance of posture. Respiration, we have diaphragm and intercostal contractions. Communication, verbal and facial. We have constriction of organs and vessels, the heartbeat, and the production of body heat. Properties of muscles. We have excitability, contractility, extensibility, and elasticity. Excitability is the capacity of muscles to respond to a stimulus. Contractility is the ability of a muscle to shorten and generate pulling force. Extensibility. Muscles can be stretched back to its original length. Elasticity. Ability of muscles to recall to original rest and length after stretch. Types of muscles. We have three types of muscles: the skeletal muscle, the cardiac muscle, and smooth muscle. The skeletal muscle is at our bone. It makes up 40% of body weight, responsible for locomotion, facial expression, posture, respiration movements, other types of body movement, and involuntary action controlled by somatic motor neurons. Cardiac muscle, found only in our heart. Contraction of heart muscles pump blood throughout the body and account for the heartbeat. Cells are branched and appear fast with one another and involuntarily. Cardiac muscle also is controlled involuntarily by endocrine and autonomic nervous system. Smooth muscle. Smooth muscle are found in the circulatory system. Lining of the blood vessels helps in the circulation of the blood. Also found in the digestive system, esophagus, stomach, intestine that controls digestions. Also, smooth muscles found in the respiratory system, controls breathing. Found in the urinary system, the urinary bladder controls urination.
Welcome to this SciCraft video. So for today, I've decided to make a tutorial on how you can make a muscular system hand by just this product. So the first product you need is a colored paper, which is any color you prefer. And the next material is the scissor to cut out the papers. And next is the 5 straw. You can decide on how many straw you're going to use for this video. So I think I needed this 5 straw for the material. The next one is the pencil, the outline I have later. Of course, the yarn. This is blue yarn because my favorite color is blue. And of course, the tape. Course, the stapler. So using these 6 materials, we will be able to make a muscular system hand. And if you want to pull all of it, you can. And if you want to pull just then. So I hope you like this side up, and I hope you learned something from this. So if you want, you can also do this at your home because it is so safe. The materials are safe, except for the stapler and the scissor. So you need to be supervised by your parents or adults at your home. So yes, that's all. I hope you learned something from this tutorial and or side round. So welcome back again, students, to our online class. So who can answer this question? What are the 3 types of muscles? Yes, Decerie?
Cardiac, skeletal, smooth.
That's correct. So for the second question, how many muscles are there in a human body? Yes, Decerie?
There are 640 muscles.
Yes. We have 640